some water. Every time I read this text, I understand that it's not because Jesus needed her to do it, but he simply was trying to start some communication with her. The woman had to recognize, and Jesus knew that if he never spoke to her, she would not have spoken to him. So Jesus understood this because the Samaritan had already come to the mentality that they were not supposed to speak to Jews. They were beneath the Jews in their social standings. So then it was forbidden for them to speak to the Jews. So had not Jesus started the communication, she would have never talked back or communicated with him. So then Jesus go and tell her to give him some water. It's important to look at verse 8. Jesus waited till the disciples were gone, because the disciples would never have stood for it, because they understood that it was against the laws to talk to Samaritans. It was as if they would be making themselves unclean if they talked to them at this time. But Jesus knew how to work things out. He sent Peter and the boys to buy some food. He had to get rid of them because he could not have anybody interfering with his mission to come and help this woman out of her situation. Follow me here. Look at verse 9. Then he said to the woman of Samaria, he said, how is it, the woman said to him, brother, how is it that thou being a Jew ask me to give you something to drink? Don't you know that the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans? You see, she already knew protocol, but Jesus was coming to tear this down now. In verse number 10, Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of God, and if you knew who was talking to you, you would have come and asked me first to give you to drink of this water, because the water that I give you is not the kind of H2O that you're accustomed to drinking. The kind of H2O that you drink is going to keep you thirsty. But the kind of water that I am able to give you will cause you to never thirst again. One thing I love about Jesus, he knew how to get to people's level. He knew the woman understood the scenario of water. So he used water here as a metaphor to tell her that I give you living water. In verse number 11, we go on somewhere. Follow me here. Because when I start hooping and hollering, you know what I'm hooping and hollering about. In verse number 11, the woman said unto him, sir, I don't have anything to draw the water out the well for you. You didn't bring a bucket of anything to draw it out. But Jesus wasn't really concerned about the water she had anyway. But he was just trying to get her attention. You see, God is out trying to get somebody's attention today. You see, you thought you were coming here because you were invited by a friend. Some of you thought you came here just because it was Sunday. But Jesus wanted you here because this was your Jacob's well, your divine appointment time, and he's here to get your attention. He sees your struggles. Some of you, you've been struggling over and over. It may not be a man or like this woman case. Your men might be alcohol that you keep going back and forth to it, and you're not getting delivered from the alcoholism. Your man might be drugs. It might be the marijuana that you can't seem to stop puffing. That might be what's hindering you. That might be your man. But whatever it is, Jesus said, this is your divine divine appointment time. Some of you may not be able to stop from going to the filthy sites on the internet. That might be your man that is keeping you bound. You see, this woman had men in her life and they were keeping her bound in sin. She was shacking with them. So you might be shacking with drugs. You might be shacking with alcohol. You might be shacking up in lust. You might be shacking up in homosexuality. But God said, I'm not holding that against you, because he didn't hold it against the woman. But he said, I simply want you to be delivered, because Jesus didn't come to destroy, but he came to save and to set free. We got to stop shacking up with the wrong things, and that's why Jesus came to help this woman, because as long as you're shacking up, you'll find yourself confined. You can't get out of that situation till you say, I can't stay with you no more. I can't live like this no more. This woman had decided that I'm tired of shacking up with all these men. You need to be tired of shacking up with whatever hindering you. You might be shacking up with methamphetamine. You might be shacking up in your lies. You just can't seem to stop lying. But God said, I came to set you free. Whatever you're shacking up with, God said, this is the right place and the right time for you. Give God a praise in this place. We're about to go to the mountaintop in just a minute here. But I got to walk you through so I won't leave you as I'm going to the top of the mountain. This woman now, she's telling God, I don't have anything to draw water with. In verse 12, she goes on and talks with him. She said, art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself, and his children and his cattle? Jesus goes on and tell her in verse 13, he said unto the woman, whosoever drinketh of this water that I give, they shall thirst again if they drink of the water that you give. But then he goes on, but whosoever, in verse 14, that drinketh of this water that I give him shall never thirst again. If you drink of the water that Jesus gives you, in other words, you can stop shacking up with drugs. You can stop shacking up with alcoholism. You can stop shacking up with cigarettes. You can stop physically shacking up with your boyfriend and your girlfriend. And you can say, we're going to get it right, because if you don't love me enough to marry me, then I don't need to be staying with you. Why should he get the goods and he won't make the commitment? You ought to tell him, no ringy, no thingy. You ain't messing with me if you ain't put a ring on my finger. That's what you need to tell him. You see, Jesus was trying to get this woman out of this condition, because as long as you shacked up with somebody that don't love you enough to marry you, you can't find your real soulmate. That's why so many times people go so long and wondering why they can't get the right woman or man, because you're distracted with the wrong person that won't marry you, that's keeping you from finding the right person. But Jesus came to set you free, just as he came to set her free. And then he tells her, this water that I give you never thirst again. Then he goes on and said, it shall spring up in you as a well of living water unto everlasting life. After hearing this, This woman is all in now. She said, well, sir, give me this water because I'm tired of having and living the life I'm living. You see, when you really make up in your mind that you want to be right and live right, you have to get tired of what you're into. You have to get fed up with your sins. You have to get tired of getting knocked down over and over again. You have to make up in your mind that whatever it takes, I'm going to come out of this